Okay, so I'm assigned this project. I gotta talk about how to write a script, so we're gonna do it. So, step number 1, come up with an original idea. Original idea like, let's say, rules. Okay, the whole thing's about rules, breaking rules. So I would break the rules. Okay, that's my original concept. Now you have to build upon that concept. So what kind of breaking rules are we talking about here? Building your concept kind of goes with character creation, which is number 3. And with building your concept, okay, so now we're on breaking rules. So who breaks rules? Kids. Alright, so kids like to break rules, but what kind of kids are we talking? Hey, I'm recording something. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm renting this place. Character creation, so let's say it's kids. Okay, so let's go more in depth. What kind of kids? Let's say high school kids, because that's classic. Hey! We'll clean it up in a minute. I'm filming my video. Give me a minute. People don't appreciate artists. They just don't. They kind of throw them around and think that they can say whatever they want. But I am a true artist. Plot and story. So our story is going to be the overarching thing that's happening, but the plot is going to be the actions that are happening. So our story is, give me a minute. Kids want to break the rules. But what's our plot? Plot would be kids are in high school breaking class rules of a dictatorial teacher that wants them to make videos for his next year's class. They break the rules, so they don't make the video he wants, they end up getting detention, and you can make it like Breakfast Club style if you want, but that's when you get into conflict. What's the real conflict and what's the story arc? So 5 story arc, 6 conflict. So what's the story arc? So they disobey the teacher who wants them to make how-to videos. So what could we say for our story arc? They're good kids, and then they realize, whoa, we want to break the rules, so that's another arc in the story. Next arc in the story is the punishment. Next arc after that, how do they get out of the punishment, how they learn from it. So our conflict is, probably the teacher doesn't like it that they didn't follow his rules and didn't make his how-to video, so he comes after them and they get in trouble. How to express characters without being a weirdo about it. So I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you want to personify what the characters are feeling through their emotions rather than them just saying it. So if they're sad that they got detention, you can't just have the student say, well, I'm sad I got detention. Well, I guess you could, but I mean, that's lame. And you don't want to be lame. So what we're going to do is we want them to have emotion. So if they're really mad about it, you're going to want them to have like a mad face. Maybe they're plotting something. Maybe they like it. Maybe they're one of those people that really likes detention because whatever reason. They like the structure. They like having somebody care about them, I guess you could say. You can glean inspiration from other media in the world to build your story. So you might be stuck, or you might really like a movie that you had just seen, so you can actually glean some ideas from that movie. You don't have to just be 100% original. So the idea would be, if you really saw this time traveling movie and you took some of its elements from the movie, that can actually lead to your movie being better because you're kind of taking some elements that already worked, but you put your own twist on it. So it's like when people make Romeo and Juliet movies, but they're modern day, and the person lives in Britain and the other one lives in Sweden, and it's the whole they can't be together thing. It's not an original idea, but they're really just building upon an idea that already worked and is interesting. So you can take some influence from other media, and even songs, even other movies you've seen, even some of that stuff that you read on the deep web. You can even make a movie about that. Character development. So after we've gleaned our inspiration from other media, we've looked on the deep web for all the crazy stories that we want to see, and now it's into character development. Character development would be characters changing throughout the story. So these kids, maybe at the beginning, the kids are good at two shoes, and their character development is that they realize that they need to question authority. So maybe one of the outlying ideas of your story in the development of these characters is that they need to challenge authority, because if you don't challenge authority, authority gets too much power. It could be a reference to political things, it could be a reference to life in general. But you're going to want your characters to progress to some sort of goal, or regress or progress. So you can have a character who hasn't been an alcoholic, he's been alcohol-free for 5 years, but through the whole story, he falls back into the slum of alcohol, or the reverse. So you want that character development to see the change in characters, and when you have character development, your audience actually build connections, because they're there with the person through their struggles, and that really allows your audience to connect. If you don't have any character development, it's really hard for people to relate to your character, because everybody goes through these developments in their life, and you need that in your story for your characters to be relatable. After you have your idea, right whenever you're going to about rehearsal, we're going to think about directing your actors and working within your means. So working within your means would mean, well, if you're 17 years old and you guys don't have cars, or you can't, drive the cars the way you'd want to, you probably can't do an action movie where you're chasing them down with a car and blowing things up like Michael Bay. So maybe you only have your grandma's house to film it. Maybe it's a little harder to do the whole, they break the rules, but it could be breaking the rules in the grandma's house. The grandma could leave them there over the weekend and they break the rules and they find some mysterious magical thing and whatever, or they don't, and it's just, they just break a vase and then they freak out, and everything that they freak out about is just their imagination, hallucination, and then she comes home and she says, well, I didn't really care about the vase anyway, or she beats them to death and she hides them in the cellar for a year. And then their brother and sister come by to try to look for her. Maybe that's your story. Grandma kills some kids, put them in the cellar. Maybe not even kill them. Maybe just beat them. Maybe beat them. And maybe she takes off their limbs one by one and makes them into a little, oatmeal so she can eat it. So you get the little bone marrow and you grind it down into oatmeal. I mean, it's an idea. I might trademark that one because that's the one that sounds like a good idea. And then we have failure, learning from it, and revisions. So we'll come back to directing actors in a minute. This is after we go to a production process. So we've realized working within our means. So what kind of revisions can we make? So you probably want to sit down with your posse, your gang, your comrades, and you probably want to sit down and you want to say, okay, well, I wrote this really cool script. Can we read it out, please? Can we? And that kind of goes with number 14, which is after revisions. Cold reading. So you want to get your script and you want to have a cold read. Cold read is where you just kind of read it. You don't really act it out. It's more of just getting the lines out, a little bit of emotion to see how the lines work. But oftentimes you'll write a script, and when you get the cold read in, the language seems really weird because the language can sometimes be a little different when you're reading it rather than actually expressing it and saying it. So when you sit down with your group and you guys do a cold read, you guys can go through some revisions. So they can say, well, Tommy says to Jack doesn't really make a lot of sense. It doesn't feel right. It sounds unnatural. Okay, we can make that revision, and it was good to do a cold read. You should always run through your script with your cast. And after we do a cold read, we can go to directing your actors and blocking your scene. So blocking would come from theater and the position on the stage that you have your actors. So if you want to block the set, so you want to say, okay, you probably want to practice the cold read, and then you want to practice blocking. So you bring out your actors, you guys get in a room. Even if it's not the setting you're going to use, it's going to happen in a living room. The actual scene in your movie. You could do it in a room that doesn't even have a couch, just a plain open room, and you guys pantomime some things that you pick up or anything like that, and you decide, maybe you probably have a camera with you to see how the blocking's going to look and how you want to stage characters, because blocking is a really good element to use. If you want someone who's powerful, you might want them up stage from the rest of the characters, maybe a little bit taller, maybe in a higher position of power. If you want someone who's sad, they might be lower, or they might be in a darker part of the shot. If you want to show a good choice and a bad choice, you might have the left side of the shot be more lit than the right side of the shot. Just small symbolic things that maybe the audience won't pick up on, but they're small things you can put into your story. So then when it comes to directing your actors, it's all about patience. It's all about making sure they are having a good time, because if they're not having a good time, they don't want to be there. They're not going to put in 100% effort. You want them to have some sort of incentive. So a good way to direct your actors could be maybe even providing food. You could just treat them nicely. You guys could have a fun time. You guys could do some goofy takes so everybody is still energized. But if you're going to be stone cold the whole time, and these are unpaid actors, and you just want it your way or the highway, you don't listen to what they have to say, it might not work out very well. So you want to work as a team rather than you're the ultimate umpire and these people are your lower people, because it's not going to happen unless you all work together. So directing takes a lot of patience, and it's going to take some fun. I mean, you don't want to be boring, otherwise people won't want to be there, because they could be doing a lot of stuff. They could be watching their favorite anime if they want. Finalizing your script, which would be you guys have blocked the scene. So once you've blocked the scene and you've got all the characters' actions and emotions, you can put that into the script in parentheses. So now your script is most likely finalized until you guys read it through again and realize your idea isn't very good. Your idea is not very good, and you realize, wow, I can't really use my grandma's house. I couldn't use it in the first place. I kind of lied to all you guys. Looks like we might not be able to film it in this location. And then everybody's going to say, well, I guess I don't want to do it now because we went through all that work. But if you do that, you're stupid. Well, if film's not for you, it's not for you. So, if you're going to be put off by that small setback, you should probably just not do it. But an important thing to do is realizing that through failure, you guys can improve. So you guys can look at your script and see, okay, well, what wasn't very good in this script? What wasn't a very good idea? Did we try to go out of our means too much? Did we try to use too much? Did we try to use resources that we didn't have? So you can always look through the script. and realize the mistakes you made, and you guys can start again. And maybe you guys have some ideas that you already have from filming this, so you're going to start it from some sort of foundation. So maybe you guys thought about some shots that were really cool and you really want to use. So what kind of story would those shots be good with? If you want a dolly shot, or you want a really low shot, you want a creeping shot, you want stuff like that. That's going to be really important. So you guys can just get back up, start writing another script, and try again, because going through a movie is going to fail. It's like starting a business. You're either going to fail or you're going to succeed. Or option number 19, you could kill yourself. I mean, you look up on YouTube how to tie a noose, and you go to your grandma's house because she might let you use it, and you can hang yourself. But if you do that, make sure someone's filming it, because so then they can maybe use it for some sort of stock footage suicide PSA. I know Henshaw really likes those. So if you have some nice B-roll of somebody hanging themselves, you might win Slick Rock, but make sure they hang themselves in the mountains. There's some really tall trees there. They can get up on the tree, they can hang themselves in the snow. Drone shot, of course, drone shot of them hanging, and then you come out, and you go up to the sky, so it's really symbolic, like, what they did was right, when really they're just a cuck. So I hope some of these tips helped you on how to write a script. I'm sure it did. I'm sure it won't, because, but I hope it did. I hope you guys understand a little bit more how to write a script and the process for doing so. So, have a good day. I hope to see you in your dreams. Thanks.
Fuck you.
What'd you just say to me? Yeah, say it again. Say it again.
Fuck you.
Shut the fuck up, you bitch. See, this is good dialogue. See, watch this action. Fuck. It's just acting, guys. Don't worry. Rolling with the fatness, you don't even know what the half